Ambassador, it's a wonderful thing to see you again, and I express my deep appreciation for the effort you have made over so many years to bring peace and stability to the nation of Afghanistan and to the people there, and particularly to the women there. It is a debt of gratitude our nation owes to you. I'm also mindful of the sacrifice of the sons and daughters who have lost their lives or lost loved ones in the conflict in Afghanistan. It breaks my heart to think of these soldiers and the blood that was shed. And yet I recognize that as they carried out their responsibilities to serve our country in a foreign place, and nonetheless were injured or lost life there, that they believed that the things they were fighting for were in the best interests of their fellow brothers and sisters across the world, and were in the best interest of the United States of America. And I think it's important that we understand what their sacrifice brought to the people of Afghanistan and to the people of the United States of America. And I'll begin with a question by asking, are you satisfied with the negotiating process that was carried out between yourself and the Taliban? Did the agreements reached, were they honored in large measure, or do you believe that we were not dealt with in a fair manner in your negotiations with the Taliban?
Well, thank you very much, Senator Romney. It's a great pleasure and an honor to see you again. Under the circumstances, with the desire of the United States to withdraw its forces from Afghanistan, the agreement that we struck with the Taliban was the best possible under the circumstances. And with regard to the implementation of the agreement, I would say that the inter-Afghan negotiations, which is foundational for the future of that country, is one key consequence of that. And those have started. And the Taliban, a second part, had agreed not to attack the coalition forces after that agreement was signed. That has been honored. We have had, thank goodness, no fatalities since that agreement was signed over a year ago. Number three, there was an agreement by the Taliban not to allow the territory that they control to be used for plotting and planning and carrying out attacks against the United States and its allies. There has been positive developments, but we're not satisfied. We would like to see more on that, and I can discuss that in a different format in greater detail. But there are other areas in which we're less satisfied. The level of violence has been too high compared to what we expected to happen. So positive, but also some areas of concern that has remained.
Thank you, Ambassador. What do you predict? I know you're not going to want to make a prediction, but do you predict that there will be an agreement reached between the government of Afghanistan and the Taliban and stability or relative stability, or do you instead see a imminent collapse, that as soon as we're gone, that the military runs, that the government folds, that the Taliban takes over, and we find ourselves in the same position of the Afghanistan we looked at 20 years ago? Which do you see? And if there's a different forecast, I'm happy to hear that.
Sure. I don't personally believe that there will be an imminent collapse. I know there are others who've had a different view. I believe the choice that the Afghans face is between a negotiated political settlement or a long war. This is a choice that Afghan leaders make for the sake of their current generation Afghans and future generations. I hope they will learn from the mistakes of the past, such as when the Soviets withdrew, that rather than coming together, agreeing that by force, the record is that one party has tried to impose its will on others, has not produced results, stability, progress, that they come to an agreement on a formula where they can compete and cooperate. That opportunity is once again confronting them. And it's up to them. The opportunity is there. Our support is there. The support of the rest of the international community is largely there.
Iran as well?
Even, I mean, although I am, of course, very skeptical of Iranian policies, but in the case of Afghanistan, since the announcement by the president, they have expressed support for a political settlement. They say they're opposed to a Taliban takeover, and they're opposed to the restoration of the emirate, as is the case with China, with Russia, with Pakistan, with all their Afghanistan neighbors, and of course with our allies.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.